Hello, MotoAmerica fans. It's time for another episode of Off Track with Carruthers and Bice. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and you may even learn something from this unlikely pair and their special guest. The mic is yours, Paul and Sean.
Hey, everybody. This is Paul Carruthers. I'm the communications manager for MotoAmerica, and this is our weekly podcast, Off Track. I'm joined today by Sean Bice, as I always am on a weekly basis. Sean's in Ohio. I'm in California. We get together once a week to talk about all things MotoAmerica. Good morning, Sean. How are you?
Yeah, doing well. Got a little cold today, but it's not because of the change in seasons, because it's still 90 degrees here in central Ohio. So I don't know how I got a cold, but just makes my voice a little more FM DJ-like, I guess. So
You weren't kissing umbrella girls at that show, were you?
Boy, I'll tell you, the one that was there, Leslie, she's a sweet girl, but no, I'm definitely I go by that restaurant model that. And I don't mean model as in supermodel. I mean, when you go into a restaurant, you can sit, and if you've already eaten and you're full, you can sit, you can read the menu. You can sit there and enjoy seeing what's on the menu. And that's all I do with these umbrella girls. So
you're
I don't get too close.
All right. Well, I guess it's worked for you so far.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a good show. It's cool that it was nearby me, and I was able to go in pretty easily and join a couple of the guys, Jason and Dennis, and Drake Beecham was there for a little bit too. But it was a pretty good turnout. I actually was real impressed. Ohio's pretty good for motorcycling, and I talked to a lot of people, and there were people there from Indiana. There were a few people came down from New York State, so I think it drew from a pretty large area. But what was the craziest thing about that show, Paul, is I cannot get over how many electric motorcycles there are.
Yeah.
Everybody's got them.
Yeah. And I see the bicycle thing's really blowing up. I rode my bicycle a lot, and I'm always seeing people on electric bikes, and I don't know, I'm kind of torn about it. It's good that they're out there. And I always, with the bicycles, I always think, okay, it's a good idea if somebody's not in shape and they can use that to get in shape and then maybe ride a real bicycle. But
yeah,
I don't know if that actually happens or not, or if they just continue to ride electric bicycles. It does piss me off when I get passed by like some fat guy on an electric bicycle with big fat tires. I'm not going to lie. So I start cursing electric bikes at that point, but it's probably my problem, not theirs. So I'll just have to get over it.
If we live closer, I'd totally have to get one of those so I could smoke you. That'd be great.
There was one time I was climbing this hill. This was before electric bikes, so it really freaked me out. But I was climbing this big hill, and I'm slowly catching this guy, but barely not catching him. So it's like normal. So I'm like, oh, this guy's probably on a good bike. He's in shape. I caught up to the guy, and he was like a homeless guy on a beach cruiser. And he had he was dirty. He had jeans on with holes in them, and he's standing up on this beach cruiser that has one gear and not the right one. And he's just climbing this hill, basically the same speed I was on my, thousands of dollar bike and whatever. So anyway, but
that is fantastic. Thing that drives me crazy around here is there's a fair number of bicyclists in our area, but you get those people that have the dad bod like me. I think the first person that ever told me I had a dad bod was the guy that the guest sits on our show that we're going to talk to in a minute. But anyway, there are a lot of people around here with dad bods that wear the cycle gear, and it's like, come on, I would never wear that right now. I mean, shorts and a t-shirt. Yeah, there's no way. It's horrible.
Yeah, You got to be in pretty good shape to not look really bad in that stuff.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, I wear it, but we'll see.
Yeah, you're in shape, though.
Yeah, rounds of shape. Anyway, let's bring on our guest. We're happy today to have, a 4-time MotoAmerica Superbike champion. 4 times. That makes me feel old because it seems like we just started. But this guy's won 4 championships out of the last 5 years, and all of his championships have come in the MotoAmerica era. So he didn't have a Superbike title before we got started. So he's kind of grown up and come of age with our series as we've grown. And really, he's at this point, you'd have to say, he probably doesn't want to hear this, but he's the face of MotoAmerica. I mean, he's been around for for the full time. And like I said, he's won the most races, he's won the most championships, and he's been the most successful guy in our series. Obviously, I'm talking about Cameron Beaubier, who recently clinched his fourth title in our last round at Barber, basically coming back from the dead in this championship. I mean, I'm a pretty big Cameron Beaubier fan, and I'd gotten to the point where I'm like, oh, this isn't going to happen. But when you get 3 seconds and 4 wins in the last 7 races, it just goes to show that anything can happen, and you don't give up. And this guy's a perfect example of not giving up. After he crashed at Sonoma and things looked pretty damn dismal, he continued to put his head down and fought to the bitter end. And as it turned out, he came out of this with another title. So let's welcome Cameron to our little party here. I heard him earlier as we started the show. It sounded like he was making coffee. So hopefully he's all.
I thought that's what that was.
I was brewing up a Keurig.
Yeah, I could hear it. But hopefully you're all jacked up on Mountain Dew and ready to go.
It's my second cup. I'm shaking.
What do you? What's your chosen Keurig, Cameron?
I got the. I don't know. Honestly, I got the Keurig coffee that makes iced coffee. So I don't know.
But I mean, what's the cup thing that you use? Okay, so you're having iced coffee.
Starbucks blend. Breakfast blend.
Gotcha. Very nice.
Well, as a Starbucks stockholder, I appreciate it. We're good. How has this? Well, like when I talked to you at the banquet, it still didn't seem very real because it was just the day before. Well, actually, I talked to you at the banquet the next morning. At the museum there when we did that round table thing for TV. And even I could tell then you were kind of like me, is like, did this really even happen? Like, pinch me if this is true. So you got to still be feeling like that, or is it settled in?
It's settled in a little bit, but still, like when I talk about it to my friends and family who they watch at home and stuff like that. But when I explain things and like explain how everything went there at the end, like it's just crazy. We even got in that position going into Sunday because if you look on paper, Toni won. I think he won the last 3 out of 4 races or something like that at Barber, and it was just crazy sitting 7 points out and knowing I had to win and he had to get third to win the championship by 2 points or something like that. And if you look back on a few races back, we were pretty much out of it multiple times, and I pretty much wrote the championship off a couple 2-3 times throughout the year, and it was like, all right, like just go try to win races, make the most out of the rest of the races. And then it slowly started coming back to us, and man, I was shocked, honestly. I think the whole team was. So it's pretty cool, and it's pretty amazing that we've been able to wrap up 4 championships together with Yamaha in the last 4 out of 6 years, and it just seems kind of unreal to me how it's all come together, and especially this year too. But it definitely was a really tough season on us. Like, for whatever reason, some years you have super smooth. I feel like last year we struggled through the first 2 rounds a little bit, and then we started reeling off some wins, and I felt super like we had a pretty dominant year towards the end of the year there last year, and or midway to the last round. But this year was the opposite, man. Like, we were struggling with little things here and there with the bike, and then when everything was good and like everything was going good for like Pittsburgh, for example, then I would go make a mistake, and it was just like little mistake after little mistake, and things just were not going smooth. But I think it made me appreciate the years that do go good. You know what I'm saying? So, but then when everything had to go good, it went good at the last round. Like, everything went smoothly, and things played out exactly like they needed to for us, which is still, it's still pretty crazy. But I feel like, yeah, we won the championship. But honestly, for whatever reason, Toni was struggling at the last 2 rounds, which isn't really like him. And it wasn't the same Toni that we're used to seeing. So I'm not really sure what happened, but I'll take it and run with it.
When did you actually believe that you were going to win this championship? I mean, was that Saturday after the race, or wasn't it?
Yeah. So going into Barber, like we were still 17 points out or something, and there was like a glimmer of hope, but I mean, we were still, I mean, we were optimistic, but it's a long shot, right? But then after the way Friday shaped up, I was like, man, like we might have a chance. And then after Saturday, I won the race. Garrett got second, Toni got third, and I was like holy crap, we might be able to do this. You know what I'm saying? And woke up Sunday morning, and Tony's pace was a little bit better in warm up on Sunday. I was like, oh man, like today's gonna be a tough day, and it just worked out. But I think one big thing that helped me this year is Garrett's rise. He, I think he picked up some serious speed like midway throughout the season, and some confidence, and he was reeling off a couple wins here and there, and it kind of kicked my butt in gear, and we were able to take it to him the last 2 rounds, which is really good. So.
I think that worked actually in 2 ways, because I think, and I said this on the podcast last week, I think it not only did it kick you into gear, but I think it also made Toni like, oh crap, I got 2 of these guys I got to deal with instead of just one. And I think that kind of had a little effect on him, especially going into that last round.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was pretty crazy how it all shaped out. That's for sure.
Cameron, so a couple people in the media center asked me or suggested that you guys found something in Yamaha towards the end of the year. And I mean, I'm not saying that you didn't win that championship and that Toni lost it. That's not it at all. You still had to do your job. But I had said at the time, I said, I don't know. It feels like, it's more on Toni than anything. But did you guys find anything in the bike? Was there anything that worked out? Not, you don't have to say specifically, but just, did you step up with something that maybe changed things for you in the end?
To be honest, no, not really. We've been messing with some electronic stuff all year, mainly on like engine braking and stuff like that. But I was kind of struggling with it, and just, I don't know, for whatever reason, like I felt like I was fighting my bike more than flowing with it this year. And yeah, I mean, you can see on paper that like I was off at a couple tracks, just time wise on lap time wise on what I did last year, and we basically put everything back exactly how we raced the thing at the last 2 rounds, and we didn't mess with too much, especially the last round, and I just rode the thing how it was set up pretty much all last year, and it's a bike I know and I can trust, and I can ride hard, and yeah, I mean, everything went to plan. But like I was saying, I think Gerloff stepping it up made me step it up too, because when we test and the practices and stuff like that, you always want to beat your teammate, right? I feel like we have a pretty good, I don't know, we just have a really good team, a really good strong team. We all have, like, I feel like Garrett and I both have like a good mutual respect for each other. Obviously we want to beat each other, but it's kind of weird how everything comes like full circle, like I remember I was like the underdog with Hayes, and still a lot of respect for Hayes and everything he's done, and but obviously it's your teammate. It's the first guy you want to beat. So it's funny that I feel like I'm kind of, I mean, I'm only 26 or whatever, but like I'm kind of in Hayes' shoes, and Garrett's stepping up and winning races, and it's just different being on the other side of the spectrum.
So it'll be nice to ship that guy off to Europe then. I've got a quick question. When is it, like, I can imagine, like, if it's you against Toni and you guys are rivals, but he's like in another truck, I can't imagine what it's like when you actually start to get to that point like you were with Garrett this year, where you guys would come in and you're competing. Sometimes he's faster than you, sometimes you're faster than him, but you both go into the same truck. Is that difficult, or do you just deal with it?
I mean, not. I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe there was a point in the season where I was like struggling pretty good, and he was rolling with some good momentum that I was just like, ah, man. And then he turns on his freaking Spanish music and starts singing along. No, no. I think like I said, for the most part, we got nothing but respect for each other, and like, yeah, we joke around, laugh in the in the truck, and then when it's race time, it's race time. And
Right.
but I mean, we've spent quite a bit of time together. We lived together for a little bit here in California, and yeah, he's one of my buddies for sure.
Well, I've got to admit something. Like, if it was Sean and I and we were on the same team, because we're kind of on the same team now, but if we were on the same team and like I noticed he was like, starting to get a little edge on me or whatever, I would put like itching powder in the crotch of his leathers.
Oh man, and I hate practice jokes too. It's funny though about that thing with the team thing. Now, this is for the listeners or our podcast fans. One of the things that's interesting is when Yamaha had two trucks. There was a hospitality truck and the team truck. And back when Hayes and Cameron were teammates, they would be in completely different trucks that had separate lounges in them. So, a good example was that time that Josh ran into the back of you, Cameron. And I know you guys handled it really well, but it still was pretty helpful that you went to different trucks and kind of, had time to think about it. I remember going to each of the trucks and talking to you guys, but you haven't had any moments like that with Cameron. But to that point, it's got to be tough when really, arguably, one of your greatest rivals is right there sharing the space with you and, playing his Spanish music and all that kind of stuff. Do you discuss strategy or anything like that when you're together like that?
I mean, yeah, honestly, not so much strategy, but we talk about the bike and like what we're struggling with and what we changed to make it better. And I feel like that's pretty rare coming from, I mean, yeah, two guys try. I feel like our goal was to beat Toni, you know what I'm saying? Like we were both like striving for the same goal. And yeah, he had a little problem with his bike there at Pittsburgh that kind of, set him back a little bit. And I mean, yeah, but I think, like I said, I feel like it's pretty rare to have like a teammate like that that you can bounce things off of and say, oh, I'm going with this tire, I'm going with this, or I did this with my front end and it was a little better. I did this with my TC or engine brake, stuff like that. Like we would bounce stuff like that off each other. And I think that's really kind of what propelled us to the success we had the last couple of rounds. So it's tough having a fast teammate, but at the same time, like it helps you. I mean, it does.
The motivator.
Yeah.
Paul, so tell Cameron, I mean, well, tell the listeners about after the first, I think it was the first qualifying practice session at Barber, after the first time they were on the new surface, and you made a point of talking to both Toni and Cameron about how they liked the surface. Tell everybody about what the reaction was to that from Cameron and Toni.
Well, I think I talked to Toni first. And I was just surprised because he was pretty down on the track and came across like he didn't like it anymore. The bumps were gone and the surface was new. And I think he was a little sketched out about it. And he also had that pretty big crash. Whereas Cameron's comments were always positive, like, oh, I love this. This is great. This is great. And I think most of the time when you ask a racer, like it's a question we often ask them, like, hey, what's your favorite track on the calendar? What's the one you hate the most? And most of them will maybe tell you what their favorite one is, but then they won't tell you what their worst one is, because I think they don't want to have a negative feeling about it because they've got a race there anyway. But it just came across to me that right. Toni was a little bit negative and a little bit down about the track. And I think that kind of, I think that just worked in his head a little bit. Whereas Cameron was the opposite. He didn't have anything but good things to say about the track and how excited he was to ride on it. And Garrett was the same. Garrett was like a kid in the candy store when I did a lap around the track with him in the pace car on Thursday afternoon. He's like, "Oh, I can't wait to ride the track." Well, you know what I mean? So I think it was just a little bit of a different time, a little mindset there that, I don't know, this stuff kind of plays into things. I think just your attitude going into something like that.
So now that it's all said and done, Cameron, were you genuine in what you were saying? Did you like the fact that they resurfaced it, and was it something you felt good about going into that weekend?
Yeah, I thought the surface was pretty awesome. I mean, obviously the first session it was a little sketchy. I would say the whole first day was a little sketchy. Just the way, I don't know, like it seemed like you had a lot of grip on the side of the tire, on the gas, but for whatever reason on decel, like when you chop the gas, and lose the, I don't know, the chain tension or something like that, the rear would come around big time. Like I had a couple big moments on Friday and Saturday morning as well. And I mean, yeah, Dunlop had to bring their hardest option tires, and they were still shredding up a little bit on the right side. So I think Barber did a really good job though with it. And I think it's only going to get better. I mean, it always takes a track like a year or so to come in, or a year or two or something like that. But yeah, I loved it. It was like baby butt smooth. It was weird because it gave you the sensation that you're going slower than we've done before, or than we've gone before. But we were, I don't know, a second faster race pace than we were there last year, if not more. So
Yeah, last year you broke the track record, and we thought you were on pace to do it again this year, and we thought for sure you were going to do it in Superpole until they took the softer Q out. Do you think that was a good decision to do that? You couldn't have done a full lap on a Q on that track?
it would have been close, like maybe one full lap. But honestly, it was weird though, because in Superpole, the tire, that red tire, sorry, my dog is being loud. That red tire that we used in Superpole didn't really have much more grip than the actual race tire, which is not the case. Like when you throw a Q on, or a Superpole tire, like those things, it's like super glue. Like you're so hooked up, and that wasn't really the case with the tires from Barber. But yeah, I think Barber did a pretty good job. Like I love it, and yeah, it sucks that I mean, yeah, Toni came in struggling a little bit with it, but yeah, I think we did good. We made the most of it and crushed it.
In that second race, when you ran off in turn one, I mean, was it almost panic time, or what's going through your head at that point?
Yeah, yeah, it was honestly. I was like, no, I mean, yeah, like I said in the press conference, I just let off the front brake, and I was trying to kind of go around the outside of Heron, and I just got in a super bad spot because he got in there hot. And I think that, man, like if it was last year, I don't know if they put a curb out there or what that's new, but I don't remember that curb being there, because I did the same thing a couple years ago. I ran right off I got the whole shot and ran right off the track in turn one. And I don't remember a curb being there, so I'm super happy they put that curb there. And because I could have been even further back and made it harder on myself. But yeah, I mean, in a sense, I almost think it was good for me, because I just put my head down and I didn't think about, like, I don't, riding on eggshells or nothing, because I couldn't. I just had to go. Like I had to put my head down and go, and it worked out. So
it seems like cool. You're this is kind of odd, but it seems like your best races, your best racing, and your fastest laps are always after you screw up.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty stupid.
So maybe you should not screw up. Maybe you should quit screwing up.
I know, seriously.
Is that just because you're like, man, God dang it?
It was No, oh yeah. No, yeah. I think, well, the track too, it was weird, because I feel like every year we've gone there with the old pavement, like when it gets hotter and hotter throughout the day, you lose grip. Like the track gets greasy, and it was almost like the track picked up grip the hotter it got, which is which is strange. I think we had like 140-degree track temps or something. Like it was pretty nuts, and the tires hung in there good, and yeah, I was shocked when I was coming by and looking at my lap timer, and when Garrett was out in front of me and I was trying to chase, and I was seeing 23.8 or 24. Like I was like, man, this it was a good feeling for sure. But
I bet.
In watching your career, I mean, I've always said that, I don't know if this is much of an insight or not, but, I've always said with you, Cameron, what Paul said about, you always do better after something happens. Well, I've always felt like you don't really make the same mistake twice. And you may say, well, I have made that same mistake twice. I've low sided at some point or whatever, but it seems like you clearly do learn from something you did. And it's like, well, okay, there's something I shouldn't do, so I'm not going to do that again. Would you say that's true about how you ride?
maybe a little bit, yeah. I mean, yeah, there has been multiple mistakes I've made twice in a row, but I think one big thing that helped me this year is, I mean, yeah, I didn't win quite as many races as I've won the past couple years, but I just feel like when I'm in a spot where I'm struggling and I feel like I'm not I'm not flowing with my bike, and I just try to make it work. In the past I try to make it work and I end up crashing. I end up on my head, and you're just kicking yourself because you lost all those points and stuff like that. I feel like this year I crashed out at 2 races, but those are literally my two crashes throughout the year. And yeah, I think I only crashed twice or 3 times out of the year, and I think
Wow.
that really helped me this year because I was way more consistent than I have been in the past, and like I was able to settle when I knew, like we could end up crashing. You know what I'm saying? Like I settled for a second, or I settled for a third, or even at Utah I had to settle for a fourth, but I still rolled the thing off the track. I didn't end up in the gravel trap. So I think that was a big help this year.
You were the subject of one of our most popular videos ever. They've called it a unicorn because it was so much. It had so many more views, and it's that crazy pogo stick ride you took at Utah. Can you talk about that when
Yeah.
that happened? Was that crazy?
Yeah, it happened so fast that I was like, I could not believe. Yeah, it was crazy. It was a big old moment, but it didn't feel like it happened so quick that it didn't really feel like crazy. I just kept going, right?
Yeah,
But
you
then I
did.
watched the video back and I was like, what the hell? Like my wheels came off the ground and stuff. It was yeah, pretty nuts. Like I had a couple moments this year where like Pittsburgh, he came over turn 2 and I had that big old moment right there. Like I had a couple moments this year that just like put me back in perspective on like, dude, like this, like my bike, it's you got to respect that thing for sure. But
Yeah.
It's good for our social media,
but
though, when
yeah.
you do that. So don't stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We appreciate that you did that. That was pretty
No,
awesome.
I think that thing
Yeah,
blew out.
it
That
really
was good.
did.
It's really good.
Yeah. One of the things about your season each year, Cameron, for a while now, is the fact that we've had Sonoma on the schedule, and living in Roseville, not far from Sacramento, and not certainly not far from Sears Point and Sonoma Raceway. It's kind of your home track. Your fans are there. You've just owned that track so much. This year, of course, you had a crash, so that was kind of unusual for you. But we won't have that track on the schedule next year. When it was on there, did you feel some comfort in the fact that, hey, there's one, I'll be home, and I've done so well at it? And how do you feel about next year not having it on the schedule?
Y- Yeah, it's hard to say. Like, it's weird because yeah, it is my home track. It's the closest track to my hometown, and my friends and family get to go out there and stuff. But like, I really haven't spent that much time riding there because they had like for their, I don't know, their insurance deal. I couldn't ride there when I was younger, and so I didn't even ride that track until I came home from Europe when I was like 17 or something. But for whatever reason, I just always clicked with it. Like that track's pretty. It's got like a hidden flow to it. It's it's a handful on a big bike, but I remember I used to love riding there on a 600. Like it's a good 600 track. But to be 100% honest, like normally one of your favorite tracks are the tracks like you do good at, right? But like that is not one of my favorite tracks by any means. It's I feel like this year especially I realize how like dangerous it is in a couple spots. Just with the bumps and some of the seams and stuff like that and some close walls. Um, and I'm honestly kind of happy we're not going there. Yeah, it sucks that it's not on there's not a a Northern California round other than Laguna, but I'm really excited to try that new Ridge track that got replaced or that you guys replaced with Sonoma. So I think I've heard some good things about it. Zemke has ridden up there a couple times, and he said that it's you're just kind of riding through the forest, and it's got a really cool flow to it. So, and I think it's a newer track. I think the pavement's good, and yeah, I'm excited to try
And
something.
you're
new
already
for
the
sure.
MotoAmerica king of Indianapolis because we've had 2 races there and you won them both. So you can just pretend that's your Sonoma.
Yeah, that's awesome too. Like, yeah, exactly, exactly. No, I'm excited to go to Indy too. Like, yeah, Indy was super fun on the R1 a few years ago, 2015, I think, is when we went there. That was good.
Boy, the last year we went there, I'll never forget how you would always come into turn one and pass. I think it was Tony. You would go by him and you'd always get him at the end of that straightaway. A lot of times, at least I guess that was the old bike for Suzuki, but it was just something that no matter what he did,
Yeah,
Raj.
Yeah,
oh,
Tony
Roger.
wasn't here
Okay,
yet.
yes,
Yeah.
that's right. Okay, that's right. You'd always catch him at the end of that straightaway, right, and pass him there. That was kind of
that was a good track. We need a turnout like they get for the 500 out there, Paul.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm going to take you
gonna
like
step
on
it
a
up or what?
Yeah,
Do you remember
I was,
that? That was
that was a
unreal.
good trip. I enjoyed that. But
yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah. Yeah. For people that don't remember, Cameron and Josh Hayes, prior to, well, it was the morning of the Indy 500. They took a lap around the track, and I think it was Josh that wheelied, and Cameron was, just the two of them on the track, and it was just treated like royalty the entire day. Paul was there, and we all were there, but they were in a red carpet line, and Jeff Gordon is next to him, David Letterman's there, and you got Josh and Cameron being interviewed by the media. That was quite an event at that point, wasn't it, Cameron?
It was pretty cool. I just remember like doing the lap on the track, and we were still hours before the race was going to start, and I'd never been in a place with that many fans or people surrounding the track before. It was
and he liked the funnel
nuts.
cakes too.
I love the funnel cakes. First funnel cake.
So we talked about not going to Sonoma next year and the Ridge, and you've talked about looking forward to it, and of course Indy. So I think that kind of begs the question, as much as you can say, will you be back in our series next year? And will you be racing Superbike with us?
Most likely, yeah. That's how everything's leaning right now. Is I'm going to stay here with Yamaha and try to defend my title. It's like I'm in like a kind of a tough situation right now, like I'm super grateful for what I've had here. Been able to win 5 titles with Yamaha, and I've been racing for them since 2012, and we say it a lot, but it really is like a second family. It's I love all those guys, and we work super good together, and I just enjoy the race weekends with them, and every time I get to spend with them, it's pretty cool. And I'm making good money. I get to go home after every race and stuff like that. But at the same time, I do want to go to Europe, and I want to race the top guys and stuff like that. But like, I have too good of a situation right now to leave and to give up. Like, I don't want to give up what I have here for something for the unknown. So until I get a good offer over there, like I'm sitting here and I'm content, and I'm happy with what I'm doing here.
Well, that's a nice, honest answer anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
I mean,
So
it's tough. It is like a tough situation, because I know like a lot of people want me to go over there, and I do as well too. But like I said, like I get to go home after every race, and I'm still racing world class guys here, and I'm on a bike that I know obviously that can win races and win championships, um and yeah, it's I'm in a good situation right
Let's
now.
pretend that Garrett's going to go to World Superbike, because I think there's a very good chance that he will. I think he's a good person for MotoAmerica to send over there. Would you agree with that, Cameron? Just based on his age and obviously his talent and his drive and the fact that he really wants to do it. Are you in agreement with me on that?
Yeah, 100%. I think he'd be a really good I think he'd be the guy to go over there. I mean, he's a couple years younger than me. He's hungry. Like he wants to live in Europe. He didn't get to go race over there as a kid like JD and Gagne and Hayden and myself. Like, he's never experienced that. So I think yeah, Garrett, like he likes speaking Spanish and stuff like that. He's just he wants to do something different and go travel around and race on the world stage, and I think that's really cool, and I honestly think he's going to do really really good if he gets the shot. So yeah, I think it'll look really good for us too if he does do well over there, and might
It's
open some
funny
doors.
because I almost think like he's switching spots with Toni, because all Toni wants to do is be an American and race here. And Garrett just wants to wake up one day and be Spanish and racing there. So it's kind of funny. They're like trading places or whatever that movie was.
yeah, it is true. Cameron, hey, I want to ask you. So a couple of years ago, when Josh was on the team and he won that fourth title, and it was like, oh man, four Superbike championships. Are you kind of amazed that you have matched him as quickly as you have, and that you have matched him at all? And if indeed you come back next year, you have a shot at surpassing that. I mean, maybe if you keep going, you can even break Mladen's 7. I know it's hard. That's a lofty thing, but you got to 4 very quickly. Did you ever think that you were going to tie or surpass Josh Hayes at some point?
Like, not really, to be honest. I mean, it's still crazy to me that we've wrapped up 4 championships already. I'm at 26, and I'm super proud of that. Obviously, it's not just me. It's the entire team and every little part that ties everything together. But it is crazy, man. Like, I think he has damn near twice the race wins I do, or something like that, which I want to chase down. But yeah, it's pretty amazing. But just because I'm not going to Europe next year, doesn't mean like it's just written off. Like, I really do want to get over there and and see what I have for those boys. That's for sure. I just feel like next year isn't the year for me. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it's pretty unbelievable that we're even in this spot, and I'm super thankful for what I got. That's for sure.
I also want to ask you about a guy that I know you think a lot of, and I do too, and have had the chance to work with him, and just love the guy. He's won 21 national championships in Canada and the U.S., and he's been your crew chief longer than he's been a crew chief for any other rider in his career. Talk to us a little bit about what Rick Hobbs meant to you, and always will mean to you in your championship.
Hobbsy. I know I'm gonna miss that guy, man. Well, there's a list of people that are gonna miss that guy in the pits, but he really is like the best all around guy. Like, he's like, if you look at his resume or his stats are just unreal. Like, all the people he's worked with, the Nicky Haydens and I don't know, the Edwards, and there's just so many guys, the Goberts. Like, he's had he's worked with so many different guys, and I'm proud to say that like we worked together. Or I was his longest rider, which is kind of cool. At 6 years or whatever, 6 seasons. But no, I'm gonna miss him a lot. He was the key to like all our success. I think just his demeanor and stuff, and the way he carries himself. Um, it just worked really good for me. He's a mellow guy. I'm a mellow guy. But he has like this. I don't know. He's he's got this like respect thing about him. Like he's like it's like he's super mellow, but like he everyone respects him. That's how I'm trying to find the
Yeah.
right word to explain that. But yeah, he's just yeah, it's just an all around great guy. I'm gonna miss him for sure. I was telling everybody at the awards banquet and my team too. I was like ready to go. The last round, last race of the season. We were on the grid, on the pre-grid, and he goes to like give me a knuckle and walk off, and like it's just a warm up lap, and then you race, right? Green or the red lights go out, and I see his like bottom lip quivering, and he's like tearing up on me when he gives me a freaking fist bump, and I was like, dude, you can't do that to me right now, and like my heart just sank. I was like, oh, like it just hit me, and I was like, I got to race right
And then
now.
you ran her off into turn one and almost crashed.
He's and then I ran out. Yeah, so it's his fault.
There would have been some real tears if you actually did it.
But yeah. But yeah, no, he's definitely been a huge key to all my success and our success as a team, and yeah, I've been so lucky to work with that guy for sure. I'm sure he's gonna enjoy sipping his wine at on Lake Havasu and enjoying his time with Jill. And I hope they get like a motorhome or something
cool.
and come see us at the races.
Hey,
that's for sure.
Sean, I'm going to go ahead and give you one last question. You probably got 20 questions, but I want this guy to be able to go back to sipping coffee and maybe training or playing video games or something. Hey, Cameron, real quick, do you got anything fun planned for the off season other than the training and the normal stuff?
Yeah, just since the season's been over, I went to a concert with my friends and Shelby, and then been golfing a little bit, been riding some moto with my buddies, and I got a couple things planned. I'm going on a desert trip with my family and some friends here in a couple weeks, and then after that, Shelby and I are going to Maui with her family and some of our friends. So it's gonna be
Wow.
pretty fun next couple months. And I've been a lot of cool places for racing motorcycles and stuff, but I've never been on like an actual vacation.
Yeah,
where
and
you
it
just
is
lay on the
better.
beach and stuff. So I'm
Right.
looking forward to it.
That's
I've
cool.
never been there.
Sean, you got anything?
Well, my last question was really, I wanted to ask about Rick, because I knew that he retired, so that I didn't really have a follow up other than that. But I'm glad to hear, Cameron, you say that. I mean, it really underscores the fact that Yamaha team is a family, and with whatever you do next year, I mean, parts of that family will continue in some way, where we'll be interested and anxious to hear what that's going to be. But if it turns out as it looks that you're going to be back in our series, we're excited to have you, and let the battles begin again, because there's some great riding in that Superbike class, and it's stacked again for next year. So be good.
No, I agree with that. Like I think this year definitely it's been, well, for sure for me it's been the most stacked it's ever been. Like we've had 5 different race winners, and that's not even including like Matty Schultz and Gagne. Like there's so much good talent out there right now, and it makes it tough, but it's great. Like I feel like it's great for us riders. It's just making us elevate our game, and it's great for the series. So I hope we see some more of it. I think if Bobby moves up to Superbike, like that would be awesome. I think Andrew Lee will be fast. Yeah, I think MotoAmerica's.
And I told him
MotoAmerica's in a
already,
good
Sean, that I'm
spot.
going to work his ass off this year and make him do all that PR stuff that he doesn't like. So that should be fun. You're
right.
doing every single race.
Nothing.
You're the face of MotoAmerica. Yep, you're it.
Yeah,
You're
right.
The
our
spokesperson.
spokesperson. You're our
spokesperson.
what's a famous spokesperson? You got to know one there, Sean.
Oh, well, he's the Mario Andretti.
Yeah, he's
Mario
not.
Andretti.
He's not 80.
Oh,
Yeah.
geez.
No, I don't mean in age, but in stature and all that.
Cameron,
He's our
thanks for
guy,
joining us and taking some time out of your totally hectic, busy day of sipping coffee. We appreciate you having you on, and we'll get back together with you when you've got all your plans laid out, and we can talk some more. But thanks for joining us. Thanks to all our listeners out there for hooking up and giving us some time in their busy schedule. And Sean, thanks to you for sitting in your air conditioned house and making sure you're not out in that 80 degrees. And I hope your cold gets better. All right, guys.
Thanks a lot. Talk to you guys later. Thanks, Cameron.
See you guys.